Hello, and welcome back to the diner for this edition of Burgers and Fries. So, we do like to talk current political events, but we largely like to talk about entertainment and especially nostalgic stuff as well. So, please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy what you're hearing, whether you like to watch it on YouTube or just listen to it while you're in the car. So, this time we're going to be talking about franchises, let alone whether it's movies or TV shows or even video games, possibly, that really need or deserve a reboot slash remake. Okay, how does that sound?
I'm not the biggest fan of remakes and reboots because usually the original is the best way to go.
Okay, that's fair enough. But this is something that I believe Greg wanted us to talk a lot about. Greg, is there a franchise that you say deserves a reboot or a remake?
One I can think about is Thomas the Tank Engine.
Another Thomas the Tank Engine reference. So, what do they need to do to fix it, or what should they be doing now?
Before, Thomas was a TV show. He was first a book series around 1945 and all that.
Well, I remember as a young child reading those little books because I had them when I was like 2.
And you know that some of the stories mentioned death of trains, right?
Okay, well, so they had the original books. Okay, and I remember they had the claymation cartoons in the 80s or the 90s, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's something about the modern remakes that you're not liking, and you're saying they need another reboot of that. So why?
Well, I think it's because if there's something I do want to see, is something like the diverse animation.
So a Thomas the Tank Engine in anime, a Thomas the Tank Engine in clay.
CGI, it can be useful, but it doesn't have to be used for everything, you know. And as for something like narrations or something, I do know that there are big name people that didn't like Alec Baldwin, Ringo Starr, and George Carlin and all that. But for someone like Alec Baldwin, I'm not going to ask him to come back or anything.
Just make sure he doesn't hold a loaded weapon.
Yes.
So, what was wrong with the latest edition of Thomas the Tank Engine that you didn't like so much?
The latest one, it's kind of like, T-Dine's going away. Silly, stupid, you name it.
All right, so you're just hoping it's a more return to form, better use of animation. That's fair enough. So, Pat, is there a franchise that you say deserves a remake or a reboot?
Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I just think it would be nice to kind of revisit the cast of characters at Foster's. Like, I even envisioned, me rebooting the show Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Maybe give it a TV PG rating, give it like some Simpsons humor where it can appeal to kids and adults.
Tony, is there a franchise that you think needs a remake?
Actually, yes. Like the original Castlevania game remake Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest and make it more playable than it was stuff. I know maybe Jen hates that game, but
Yeah, but the thing is, you could in the modding community or the ROM hacking community, they've done like editions of Simon's Quest where they fix all the problems.
I know, but like talk about like a full 3D remake.
Is there any other franchises, guys, that you say need a remake or a reboot?
Well, this one wouldn't necessarily be a remake or a reboot, but it would just be a continuation of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Bring back the original cast members to play their characters. And just cancel the reboot one that's like now computer animated.
What if they did a My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, but they made that CGI?
I wouldn't even care for it because I much prefer it be the same art style like the original.
I can agree with you there because I did like the art style of Friendship is Magic because it was done by the same chick who did Powerpuff Girls, Lauren Faust.
I thought you didn't like Friendship is Magic.
I never said I didn't like Friendship is Magic. When I defended Bronies, I was mentioning how I thought the animation style was fine, and that I liked that it was made by somebody who worked on Powerpuff Girls.
At least you admire the creator and the art style. I'll give you that.
Next one, Greg. Is there another one you think needs to be remade?
I think one needs to be remade is He-Man and all that.
He-Man, because of how much of a disaster that the Masters of the Universe Netflix show was?
Yes, and they're coming out with Revolution as well. And even the fans are saying, we're not falling for the same tricks again.
So, Tony, any other franchises?
Maybe remake the original Final Fantasy games, 1 through 6.
What's wrong with them?
Well, no. Just think about how much work that could be done with it to remake them.
But they're classics.
I know. I just prefer the 3D RPGs more than 2D is all.
Yeah, Mr. Chrono Cross. Okay, we'll do away with that. But
Okay, yeah. Well, didn't they remake Chrono Trigger?
no, they didn't. There is a fan ROM hack that you can do, where I think it's called Crimson Echoes, where if you install it with the original Chrono Trigger ROM, then you can play the fan made sequel to Chrono Trigger. I don't necessarily agree with remaking classics just to make them 3D. All right, I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of when they did Link's Awakening, which was one of my favorite games on the Nintendo Game Boy Color. Then they made a Nintendo Switch remake for it, and all it was just a reskin. Like, it really wasn't anything new. It was the same game, just a reskin.
That was the first Zelda game I ever played.
Made 3D, and it's a classic. Why would you want to fix something that isn't broken?
Well, I'm just saying, like, you look at the game Trials of Mana. That was a Super Nintendo game in Japan, and they remade it for the PS4 and Nintendo Switch, and look how great that turned out.
How did it turn out
Amazing.
great? How did it turn out great? Did they change the game?
Well, did they change the game to make it a 3D RPG and everything, but the story and everything was the same.
Okay, but they still changed the game, is what you just said.
Well, I'm not big into 2D RPGs, so that's why I like them.
Oh my god! Of course, that's why you're gonna like it more. Okay. Now, with that said, what if they made a remake of Fallout 1 and 2? I might actually welcome that.
I never even played the first two Fallout games, so I know nothing about them. What were they like?
I might actually welcome that. They were turn-based. So, in other words, all of your combat and all of your actions were turn-based strategy, practically. Fallout really didn't get popular until the Bethesda games came out. It wasn't really that big of a franchise until then. Would you agree?
Agreed.
Okay, so if they decided to remake Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, hell, I'd be happy because they take place in LA, and I would love to see a 3D ruined LA. You know, do a Griffith Observatory stop, or do a stop at the Hollywood sign, or the Chinese theater. Like, that would be fucking awesome. I'd be good with that.
And let me guess, Anthony, you want to remake The Last Jedi?
I would remake that whole sequel trilogy.
I'm with you on that.
I would remake Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania and just change the ending.
I would remake Howard the Duck and make that storyline and everything more watchable than that crap we got in theaters.
Would you remake Duck Tits?
Anything that was bad in the movie, remake it to make it good.
That was a thing?
It was definitely a thing.
I never watched that Howard the Duck movie. Maybe I should watch it now just to see.
Just because you want to see Duck Tits. Would you imagine Brie Larson's face in front of it?
I mean, it would make for interesting lesbian porn, I'm sure.
And I was gonna say I would also remake Thomas and the Magic Railroad on account.
I never saw that movie. What was wrong with it?
I'll put it this way: we never got the original idea of the story because of, well, Tizai and Karen's.
What was the original deal supposed to be?
Well, we were supposed to have 2 villains for the movie. One of them was removed.
I know Mara Wilson from Matilda was in there and Alec Ball was in there, but I know Diesel 10, he was the main antagonist, right?
He wasn't supposed to be the main antagonist. Someone else was supposed to be the main antagonist, P.T. Boomer.
And why'd they change him?
Because Tizai said that he was too scary.
Oh, please.
Oh, if I could go back in time and remake a movie, it would be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Secret of the Ooze, and bring back Casey Jones.
I would
keep
Judith
Hogue as
go
April.
back and remake the third movie because the third movie was so bad. Make it actually still closer to the comics and the cartoon.
Yeah, make the second movie closer to the comics and tell all the parents who complain to piss off or sit on the middle finger and spin.
Yeah, I saw your video on that. I saw your video on that.
And then the third, of course, you would remake the third movie to make it more sense. They actually did go to feudal Japan in the comics. That wasn't the issue. It was just how they presented that movie was the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And how the turtle costumes looked awful.
the Thomas franchise, that's that one remake. I know there's gonna be some people that are gonna be telling me about, you can't use models anymore because today's generation kids won't love it. Oh yeah, tell that to those that actually do love it.
Case in point, back when I was married, with a stepson, he enjoyed the hell out of the 3D models because he would watch those old shows. So you can't say that kids today are not going to enjoy old 3D models. I would absolutely welcome a sequel to the Home Alone movies if Macaulay Culkin was in it as an adult. Whether it's Kevin McAllister and his son or his daughter, I'd welcome that. I do not like every other Home Alone sequel has always been something else. Or they even tried a Home Alone 4 and it was a new version of Kevin McAllister. Like, no. Put Macaulay Culkin back in and then go from there.
And well, if I can say just one more.
If it's about Thomas the Tank Engine, no.
I was gonna say Batman and Robin.
Okay. Why would you? So
Love that movie.
Yes, absolutely. What should have been done with Batman and Robin in 1996 or 8? I don't know.
Well, if I don't know what Joel Schumacher's original idea was, but he wanted to make it a dark and gritty film of that movie.
Yeah, I wish that Joel Schumacher didn't have to listen to the studio so much. Like, no, we're trying to make toys. We're not making movies.
And well, nothing wrong with making toys out of the movie or anything, but I do have to agree that don't play it safe or anything.
Let's see, I would also remake Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and have it actually be about the Multiverse of Madness. I would probably take out maybe either Scarlet Witch or America Chavez. And, just throw in some more cameos than the ones we got.
That works for me, guys.
Me too.
With that said, the diner is now closed. We are no longer making any more burgers, fries, or shakes. But thank you for visiting, folks.